Russia has appointed a new military commander for the war in Ukraine. 60-year-old General Alexander Dvornikov is one of his country's most experienced officers, credited with leading Moscow's forces to victory in Syria in a ruthless campaign to shore up President Bashar al-Assad's regime in a civil war that saw millions displaced. Well, for more on this appointment, we're joined in studio by France 24 senior reporter James Andre. James, tell us a little bit more about this general. What do we know about him?
Now, what we know about him is that he is indeed one of the top commanders in the Russian army. We also know that he started his career as a platoon commander in 1982. He originates from the eastern part of the country, a city south of Vladivostok, and basically has risen through the ranks, going through the Soviet Union and then the Russian Federation's top military academies. He has had a career that really came to light as an important leader in the Russian army in 2015 when he was appointed to Syria. There, indeed, he was the architect of Russia's strategy to prop up Bashar al-Assad. He used a combination of a very effective yet lethal use of the Air Force, creating the base of the base north of indeed of Syria, the base of Haimim. From there he pounded Aleppo, also managed to coordinate fighters between the Russians but also forces from the Hezbollah and the then very demotivated Syrian army. Indeed, he is seen as a brutal yet creative commander, and well, for Western intelligence services, for example, General David Petraeus, who was the head of the CIA, said that he was nicknamed the Butcher of Syria. He also said that his main job when the Battle of Aleppo, for example, was taking place was to, I quote, depopulate areas. And indeed, Jake Sullivan, who is the National Security Advisor in the United States, says that he expects more brutality against civilians with this new appointment.
Will the appointment make much of a difference to the Russian campaign on the ground, though, James?
Well, it is a real reshuffle and a real strategic shift for the Russians. Indeed, the campaign has now been going on for 6 to 7 weeks. And indeed, we've seen that the Russians have had to pull out of this area around Kiev, around Chernihiv. They've been pushed back by the Ukrainian resistance. They've decided to concentrate their efforts on the east, and in a sense, this appointment comes as a consolidation of this new strategy. Now, analysts have been saying that one of the problems Russia has been encountering in this campaign is the fact that they've had various commanders for various axes when it came to this offensive. And what they say is that unifying this command with an experienced general such as Alexander Dvornikov will be probably more effective than what we've seen from now. Also, the man was in charge of, has been in charge since 2016 of the southern area of the Russian army. So he is working in an area he knows well. He's been in charge of Crimea, but also South Ossetia, Dagestan and Chechnya. But he does know this area very well. He's been concentrating a lot on Luhansk and Donetsk in the past few years.
And meanwhile, Putin seems as determined as ever. He's vowing to push on with the campaign. We've heard in the last couple of minutes that Russia is now claiming that 1,000 Ukrainian troops have been forced to leave Mariupol, that they've surrendered. What's the latest there, James?
Yes, absolutely. So that has yet to be indeed confirmed. But yes, that could mean that the siege of Mariupol is coming to an end. As we knew at this stage, the Ukrainians were simply holding the steelworks, which is at the center of the city, this huge sprawling industrial complex, and they were defending the city from there. Well, it does appear that if 1,000 fighters have surrendered, well, that's probably the beginning of the end of the siege of Mariupol, which was to be expected because militarily Russia had indeed managed to encircle their city completely. Now, indeed, Putin, who was attending a function in Russia with the president of Belarus, was indeed said that for him the campaign was to carry on, that he would go to the end of his military operation. He also said that for him things were going slowly yet rhythmically, with the intention of having a minimum amount of losses. So indeed, Vladimir Putin also denying the massacre in Bucha, and quite clearly trying to obtain some result and some victory to claim for the 9th of May, because that, of course, is a very important date. It's the date of celebrating the victory over the Nazi regime in Russia, there's usually a big military parade, and that, of course, is an important political moment for Vladimir Putin in Russia.
James Andre, senior reporter here at France 24, thanks so much.